Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jason from the Very Terrible Podcast coming back to you from a little brief winter vacation. Excited to be back talking to everybody. We have a new segment we're going to try out today, and this is going to be just a fan favorite. It's going to be called Jason Complains. And anybody that knows me well enough knows that if I'm not bitching, I'm not happy. So we have been on Christmas break from school, and we all went on a cruise, which will be a different episode of Jason Complains later on. We're all still getting back from having a Carnival cruise cold, and we've all still are recovering. It's been like 2-3 weeks. We're still recovering. So, uh, Bee's been out. Her voice is about completely gone, and Lori was down for a little bit, and I was sick for a little bit, and during the Christmas break, we took Bella to a knockoff Chuck E. Cheese, and it's over in Cape Coral. It's called Happy's. And the only way I can describe this to you is for any of you that are fans of Chuck E. Cheese, it is knockoff Chuck E. Cheese. It's not quite right. The the idea of a Chuck E. Cheese, and there's always this meme that I saw online, and it was like, "Come enjoy rat pizza at our child casino." Basically, it was when B was real little, and she had school off every day, and I had a great schedule. We would go into Chuck E. Cheese, and right when the place would open, you'd be the first ones to walk in. We learned that the people at Chuck E. Cheese, they test the machines. Every morning you have to test the machines, make sure they work, and they'd have little tickets sticking out of them. To her, it was like the lotto. So we would get there first, and we would run in, and she would run from machine to machine to machine, and just gathering up all the free tickets even before we started to play. And we go in, play your games. It was affordable. It wasn't terrible. I mean, it would you'd spend, I don't know, $20. I think it was $20 for a day of fun. It would last you till just after lunchtime, and that was it. We did that. I'd say like once a week. After a while, just crossing the bridge, paying bridge tolls, going there or to Chuck E. Cheese over and over. It gets old. So this new place opens up, and it used to be it's in an industrial park, and it used to be just an industrial park manufacturing building. It's just a steel building, nothing fancy about it. Uh, Coming right off of Pine Island Road. It was called Happy's, and we're like, oh, all right, what is this place about? And reviews were coming out, and it was basically, they said it's Chuck E. Cheese but in Cape Coral. So we go to give it a try. It wasn't bad. It was actually humorous as an adult to look at it to see what it is they were coming in with. So it's everything is one off. They have arcade games, but every arcade game is like licensed and titled. The ones that they picked up over at Happy's is not licensed and titled. So you have the game called Deal or No Deal, the briefcases and suitcases, and you guess the prices. The bank makes an offer. They have that, but it's called Sell or No Sell. The characters are all just one off, just enough to avoid litigation, but not enough to so you don't have fun. They would have instead of like the arcade games with the shooting, they had ones that actually would physically squirt water and just like toilet water all over the place. It was fine. It really was. It was you'd walk in there, you'd buy tokens, and dollar for dollar, it was cheaper. And for anybody who's got young kids and anybody coming up, you're trying to save money while still trying to provide your kids a fun time. We would go in, buy the Happy's tokens, and you'd play the Happy's games. There was a little jungle gym area, and for I think it was $5, you could get a pair of socks, and your kid could go play in the little jungle gym area. It has a ball pit and just a couple little swings and run around stuff. No big deal. You could get the same cold you're going to get out of Chuck E. Cheese's arcade games that you're going to get out of these arcade games. So, it equally is clean, equally just about everything. To me, you didn't have to cross the bridge. You didn't have to spend the extra money on the tokens, and the fun was just the same. It was a win. So years have gone by. B has grown up, and no longer do we visit the Chuck E. Cheese's and Happy's of the world. She has a friend call her up and, hey, my little brother's going to go to Happy's. Do you want to go and meet us up there? Sure, why not? It's winter break. We've got nothing else to do. We go up and to go visit Happy's. So looking at it on Google Maps, and if you're familiar with the layout of our city whatsoever. So the address is 616 Northeast 15th Ave. It's right off of Del Prado and Veterans. And once again, it's in an industrial park. It's a little warehouse building. You'd almost drive by it if you didn't see the giant sign. We go, we get in. Now, it has been, in all fairness, 4 or 5 years since we've been in this place. And things come with upgrades, and we just had the storm that destroyed everything in its path. So we don't know what we're going to walk into. And we walk into what looks to be a remodeled version of Happy's. I'm like, oh, this is a pleasant surprise. And that's about where it stopped. So we get up to the ticket counter, and they remodeled the whole place. And it almost like it minnow traps you. It funnels you in to the place. And you get to the cash register first instead of seeing arcade games first, or you used to have the food kitchen area was first, and then you'd walk in and go get your tokens and pay for your things. You walk in, the cash register is the first thing up. Very large signs of like how much things are going to cost today, and it's the usual. Like you got the token prices, and I'm talking to one of the other parents in line, and apparently there's a little thing where if you don't buy the tickets or the tokens at the front desk, you buy them at the machine, you save some money, whatever the case is. And then just below it, and I didn't see it until after I watched the woman in front of me cash out her kids. She's got two kids. The total came out to $38, like $40. And I'm like, what? How many tokens did this woman get? She didn't get any. I said, wait a second. And I'm looking at the thing, and just below the prices is this big ass blue line, and it says admission $16.50. And I went, all right, that's weird. Admission, is that like to the jungle gym? Because at this point, B is too tall to go into the traditional jungle gym. She's adult size. And no, it's $16.50 just to get in the door. And I'm like, really? This is how today's going to go. Okay. So, and obviously you're not, as a parent, you're not going to make a scene, and you're not going to just whatever. It's $16.50. To be honest with you, I just invested $16.50 to entertain you people today with one hell of a story of the way this is going to go. So I pay the $16.50, and we get admission into the arcade area, and coming, of course, with the jungle gym. You get a little bracelet or whatnot, like they're going to run security on you. If you're not wearing a bracelet, you're going to have to get kicked out. We go in there, and then you got to buy tokens. And then I, of course, make the mistake where I was just told not to buy the tokens at the counter. I buy $10 worth of tokens at the counter. We only had an hour or so to be there, so it wasn't like we were going to be there all day. Go through, buy her the tokens. Off she goes to the races, wearing her bracelet and having her $10 in fun tokens with her friend. Off they go to play. And I'm contemplating this, and I'm watching around, and the place really, it's the same arcade games. There's not any new games. There's nothing that's been improved. They just rearranged the same shit in a different place. And then you walk into it, and like I told you before, it's a big metal building. It was an industrial park. Half the lighting's gone. I don't know where they did with it, but half of it's gone. So now you're in this weird... Do you remember how in Ruby Tuesdays, when those were open, that you had this thing with Ruby Tuesdays at like 4 or 5 o'clock? They wanted to turn down the lights like to set the mood, but it was just enough where you couldn't see what the hell you were eating, but it was just dark. You could see everybody at the table, but that was about it. This is what it was like. I had brought a book with me, thinking that, well, I'm just going to sit here in the corner, read a book for an hour and a half, mind my business, off we'll go. Yeah, I'm struggling to read a book because half the lights, well, it's not even half the lights are on, I'm sorry. The lights were on, but they were so spaced in such a manner that you're only lighting up half of the normal illuminescence of the building. So or you're sitting in this dark video game cave of, Jungle Gym Nightmare at $16.50. And what a time. So we were only there for an hour, but lesson learned. And I'm like, this is just ridiculous. How do you take a business that had to have been successful to get to this point at $0, $5 if you want to go to the jungle gym, and then, you make your money off the video game tokens. These machines have more than paid for themselves over and over and over again, and then go through and have the audacity to charge $16.50. All right, it's not $10, it's not $15, it's not $20, it's not a multiple of 5. At least they stopped at 50 cents. I mean, at this point, you might as well have made it $16.38 and just said to hell with all of you, and it doesn't make any sense. There's no correlation to what $16.50 even means. They have a menu. It's the same deep fried bullshit that it was before. We would never eat any of that. But I was getting ready for this Jason Complain segment, and I get onto Google. We did Google Maps. And under Google Maps, you type in Happy's Fun Center, everything comes up, and then they have a section for reviews. And I thought, well, let me see if I'm by myself on this one. It's worth the time just to go look it up. And for the sake of me complaining and enjoying this as much as I am, we're going to go to sort by lowest rated first. And we get all of our 1-star friends. And timelines are funny, right? If you go into Google reviews and you hit highest. If we hit highest, we look at 11 months ago, 6 years ago, 8 months ago, time. Now, We go into this and we hit lowest. This is great. 5 days ago. I'm like, oh, we were probably there right around the same time. And they're so, without going into the names of the people writing the reviews, but these things are just great. $18 to walk through the door, nothing's included. Of course, you pay for your grandson and blah blah blah. Blah. And I'm like, 18? I only paid $16.50. I must have got a discount. But it's just one after the other after the other. And the best part is that these people have the audacity to reply to the negative reviews with, "I'm sorry you feel that way." So that's like the most condescending way you could tell someone to go fuck off. But it was, we're sorry to hear about the inconvenience. We do charge $16.50 for a child walking age to 16 years old. This gives the child access to the remodeled treehouse, wraps around the establishment, on and on and on. And then where's the one? There's one in here. It's fantastic. It basically chastises the woman writing the review. It says, the 1650 is for the Chi House, the interactive ball pit. Regarding the issue on what the child could get with the tickets that were won, I guess somebody made a complaint about, you get crappy gifts and all that there because it is, once again, knockoff crap ass games, knockoff crap ass toys. It says regarding the issues on what the child could get with the tickets that were won, it's about the experience on what children can gain from playing arcade games. That's their answer. What am I paying for? Hand-eye coordination training? Absolutely not. It's sell or no sell. I'm not even getting the real Howie Mandel when I read this stuff. I enjoy the audacity of them holding to their guns to say, no, to hell with all of you. We will sink this bitch. We are going to sink this business, and we are not going to come off of this. Because you got to imagine, and especially like in our scenario, and granted, we've aged out of this scenario, but it's not to say that we wouldn't go back if there was a family member in town. Like if my nephew comes to town and he wanted to go, like I'm absolutely not going to pay that. I'll go avoid, random shootings over in Fort Myers at Chuck E. Cheese if I have to before I'm going to go and pay $16.50 over to Crappy Happies and go do what they're doing. Just an absolute shame. It looks like a terrible, terrible business move. However, that's why we have this. We can sit there and talk about it. You could tell your friends, listen to the show. You should tell your friends to listen to the show, and then tell them to not visit Crappy Happies and do that. It reminds me, though, when we talk about the tickets, this is something that I figured out along the way. This was a lot of fun for me because there was a time period during this transition of going to Chuck E. Cheese and then going to Happy's where we would alternate, mix it up, keep it fun. And then I realized the tickets, and maybe I'm aging myself now because I'm not even sure if they even use tickets anymore. I'd have to ask B. The newer arcades, the ones in the bowling alleys and the ones that you go on cruise ships, and give you a little credit card. And on the credit card, you put on your tokens, tickets, points, whatever it is, and then you cash out using this debit card system. So there's no more losing the tickets. The good old days of shoveling your pockets full of tickets and looking like a crackhead millionaires. You're walking around, tickets falling out of your pocket. That's what I remember. Well, I had tickets left over. We'd go through, we would cash a certain amount of tickets in. B would pick whatever gift she wanted out of, whether it was Chuck E. Cheese or Happy's and whatnot. And then I ended up with random numbers. You have 7 tickets left over, you have 12 tickets left over, you have 10 tickets left over. And then we'd have a little bin at the house and we'd throw all the tickets in. And one day I'm cleaning the bin up and I went, well, I'll be damned. These tickets are all the same size. So now my wheels are turning. There is a very clear difference in quality of gift from Crappy Happies to Chuck E. Cheese. What was it? Charles Entertainment Cheese, I believe this is full legal name. So Sir Charles Entertainment Cheese and Crappy Happies. Very, very different quality of prizes, I guess we'll call them. We'll call them prizes. And so I figured out, dollars to ticket ratio, you get a better bang for your buck at the time over at Happy's. And so I told B that we would take the tickets from Happy's, go to Chuck E. Cheese, have a day at Chuck E. Cheese, and then when no one is looking, I am basically laundering the tickets into the Chuck E. Cheese machine, getting Chuck E. Cheese credit for Happy's tickets. What a wonderful... It got to even the point where I went on Amazon and looked, how much is it going to cost to buy me just a roll of tickets? And I could just walk in and push this thing through the machine. And it didn't work out dollar for dollar wise. However, we did look it up. But then I would take my Crappy Happies tickets. I would bring them over to Charles Entertainment Cheese, and I would go through and we would get better gifts in the long run. So those were fun. Chuck E. Cheese really did take a downturn when they started serving beer. And I'm not sure if all of them did it, but the one over in Fort Myers decided this is what we need to do is give the parents who are already, ripped up and charged up about taking their kids into here around the rat casino and, feeding them this disgusting hair pizza. And we're going to give them alcohol because this is how they will make the best decisions of the day. And it did not take long. People will not disappoint you. It was a matter of weeks. And all of a sudden, there's a knife stabbing in Chuck E. Cheese. There is a gunfight outside of Chuck E. Cheese. People yelling, screaming, punching. Yes, let us bring them the alcohol. This will be a wonderful choice. So I'm not even sure if they're still doing that. I said, once again, we've aged out of the system. But to revisit it again was just an enlightening experience. It is a place that I can very confident will be out of business sooner rather than later. And to whatever the hell comes next will be just fine for the kids. That is what's been going on. And this is the new segment called Jason Complains. And I got to tell you, I feel a lot better. Just got to let it out. Everybody, you just got to let it out sometimes. And this is the best way I can do it with you. So, we're going to talk about a carnival cruise, hopefully on the next show when everybody gets healthy again. We got friends of the show, Jimmy and Jenny, that they were on the cruise with us. They are going to join us on the podcast. We will go through the group complaints of that. Just another good experience. You get on a cruise, but like I said, we'll break it down and chop it up on the next episode. Otherwise than that, like I said, if you have the option to visit Crappy Happies, pass. Don't even bother. But it's been fun. We'll put up the episode. We'll put the links on Facebook, on Instagram, and on what else do we have? I don't even know. When Bee's with me, she usually has the whole spiel that she does. But we've got the Instagram, the Facebook page, the email address, jdvtpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening in. This has been Jason with the Very Terrible Podcast.